All right, welcome back, guys. We are doing another jam session. It's been a while since our last time on camera. Obviously, you're my family, so I see you guys all the time, but we haven't seen these good people watching these videos, listening to us for a while.
We've missed you.
We are in the second week of January, a new year, and we're going to get into some topics today. But again, I said I see you guys. I see you every day, obviously. I see you guys pretty much every day. But how's the new year starting off? How are you feeling? Where are you at?
I feel so refreshed, so recharged. We hung out. We like literally spend every day together, but usually it's in here. We got to spend so much time together as family, and it was so enjoyable. And I feel so recharged and ready to give back in 2026.
Yeah. Same. It's going well so far. The winter is great. A lot of social time. We had a lot of fun.
So much fun.
And it was like one of those things where I loved every second of it. And I'm really happy to be like back in the swing of my life. And honestly, it was just like gratitude for my day-to-day life. So I'm just like sinking more into that. So
I've seen the memes out there of like that 2.5 week process of like right before Christmas until like January 5th, and then people have to go back in. But so we had that, and then we probably started that a little bit before, and then an extra week after because we had our daughter Lion's birthday cabin trip. So I felt like this week was like the first real week that we've had in about a month and a half, and I felt like I did more in a day than I did in the previous 30 days. So it's good to be back. Monica, how you doing?
I'm doing really great. I feel like this was my favorite holiday season thus far. And I was talking to one of our coaches, and he asked me, he was like, well, why? And I was like, I feel like Christmas, like it's like Thanksgiving, well, actually kind of like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas is like all slammed together, and then New Year's, of course. And it's like the analogy that reminds me of being a mom is like, it reminds me of when the kids are really little, and like, it's like everyone's like, this is the most magical time. It's so awesome. But like your head's down, and it's like, and then eventually you look up and you're like, I kind of missed it all because it's like, it was so hard. That's what the holiday season feels like to me. I hear from all these people, it's like, oh, it's just so much, blah, blah, blah. So I've known this for a while, and the last couple years, I just wanted to create more space during the holiday season with more intention, all my homework with being around family to where it's more in harmony. And I feel like this was a culmination of all of those things put into play. And I feel like I want every year to feel that way. It's going to be different, and it's going to present its challenges. But this was great. And I feel like it's launching me into a different piece of me this year.
I think the people were asking us how Christmas was after how the holidays were, and I think I said it a lot. You said it a lot. I think we all kind of said like this was the best holiday season we've ever had, and we only lost our shit like 3 or 4 times instead of the typical 15, right? And so
lost like one.
Yeah, breaking records. Yeah, we're just improving here. For those of you guys new to watching these jam sessions, I'm Matt. This is Monica. This is Lauren. This is Erica. We're a family of holistic chiropractors. We've been doing this work here at Optimal Living in Chattanooga for 10 years coming up, which we'll get to in just a second. And actually, you guys don't know this. Last year when we were doing the website, I was looking at how many people we had served, and it was like just under 3,000. It was like 2,800. And I'm like, man, I really want to put 3,000 on the website. I'm like, just under 3,000. I looked today, asked Roseanne, our last client that came in was 3,066. So we have served over 3,000 people in the last decade here at Rev.
That's awesome.
And, you know, for our work, it's all about nervous system regulation. People spend anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes on the table, and we help them to process stress, process things that have been built up for weeks, months, years, and decades, and hopefully regulate their system where they can be a happier and healthier human. And that's what we do. We also do conversations with people, though, in these reassessments. We also have conversations with ourselves. And what these jam sessions is trying to maximize our time to be able to share valuable insights and information that has helped us on our own health and healing journey, but it's also helped thousands of people over the years. And so if we can share a little bit of wisdom and knowledge of conversations we have, things that we've learned, and it can help one person, that's going to be worth it. So that's what these jam sessions are all about. So we don't know exactly the direction everything's going to head in this next hour or so, but hopefully it's of value. And I just wanted to kind of frame that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to get into some stuff. You know, New Year's is here. 2026, we'll talk about, some of our intentions, some of the things we learned last year, and we'll get a couple other things. But before that, it is a new year, and we've set a few events up for the beginning of the year. Monica, do you want to share a little bit about some of the upcoming events that we have?
I would love to. Our first one is actually happening next Wednesday, the 21st. It's our community integrative breath work. This is such a beautiful opportunity for anyone to come, whether you've never done breath work before or you're a seasoned breather, whatever that looks like
Seasoned
for you.
breather.
I love this event because people come together, you can meet new people, but also like breathing together and tending together really amplifies the healing, amplifies the intention. So every single person who comes leaves completely changed. It's just different. So I would definitely come to that. It's at 5:30. And again, pay what you can. So whatever you can, what you give is what you get out. Our next one after that is going to be February 10th. It's going to be our intro to Rev class. I would say one of our best classes is what Erica says.
I literally stand behind that.
Foundational, for sure.
Foundational, and it's so many people have miracles in this place every single day, and the question is how and why. This class is going to answer exactly that and just fill in the gaps. Your education, what is the phrase? Education leads to
Education enriches the
Enriches the
experience, and it also leads to empowerment.
Yes.
A lot of ease.
So that class is going to be amazing. It's going to be Dr. Lauren and Dr. Matt, and we'll have some yummy foods and some bites to eat and then some drinks and stuff like that. That will be
Tuesday, February 10th at 6:15.
6:15.
After a session.
Okay. And
And
all
also,
of these.
that class is also if you are a non-Rev community member. So if you are in the Rev community, this is something you can actually bring someone to this class, and they can come 30 minutes before the class and get a complimentary integration session as well, so they can experience it for themselves.
I'm glad you said that.
Mhm.
So our next one after that is going to be March 4th. It's going to be TBD. So we are, like Matt said, we are at our 10 years of being in business, being in service. And we are going to do a birthday bash, a Rev birthday bash. We're not sure necessarily where. We have some ideas. And we would love to have all of you there to celebrate with us. We wouldn't be in existence without each and every one of you. And then the next one on the docket is going to be April 4th. This is going to be a class put on by me, actually a seminar about 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday, April 4th. And it's going to be about empowering moms to increase their confidence to naturally lead their families at home. So the biggest thing I hear from friends, from women, from moms is that like, they don't know what to do when their child has a fever. They don't know what to do if their child has anxiety, or they don't know what to do if they're not sleeping, or X, Y, and Z, some sort of symptom that arises that's out of the norm. And there's so many things that moms can be doing at home to support their children that they're unaware of. Like, I feel like our power has been stripped away as moms, that we just seek out medical doctor, or seek out someone else outside of us. But really, we have the opportunity and the power within ourselves to support our children and our communities in a different way than we've been taught. So I'm going to be going over all of those things, all the things that I do with my kids, what I do with my family, and I would love to have you. So stay tuned for that one.
I'm obviously biased to that because you're the mother of my children, but you do a hell of a job with those kids, and I know I do a decent job, but just from an insider perspective, the space that you hold, the confidence level that you have, and the body's ability to heal. Obviously you went through years of schooling, you went through years of your own healing journey, continuing on your healing journey. So for any mom or dad or parent out there, this is going to be a really, really powerful class. Not to get all the answers, to figure out exactly what to do every single moment of every single time your kid's not feeling great, but hopefully like what I think people will get out of it, because you've done this with people, like they've come to you like, how can I support? They just feel more certain that they're doing the right thing for their children, because at the end of the day, like the only thing that stops people from doing that stuff is fear, right? And so if we can mitigate that fear and drop into the complete trust of the body, I think it's going to support people not only when their kids are feeling bad, but just overall vitality and health. So I'm excited for that class.
Thank you. And you're an amazing dad.
Oh, I'm pretty good.
To share on that too. And also, it's not just for moms. I'm calling it Empowered Mom Seminar because I feel like that's who we're mostly speaking to. But dads are welcome to come. People who are not yet parents but want to be parents are welcome to come.
Oh.
And anyone in between. So it's not just for moms.
Anybody?
It's for anyone who wants to increase their confidence in like their own natural healing, I would say, at home. Anything like that.
Awesome. Cool. Any other events we got to talk about or not yet? We're
I'm
going to
just
keep
gonna say
them.
one thing real quick. We're having our birthday bash, and I have proposed the idea of wearing wigs. Let us know in the comments, over under on that. I have to get all of them on board too. So
Yeah.
if you want to wear a
Sounds
wig,
like
let
a
us know in the
raising hand
comments.
emoji, yeah.
And I do want to say, like, what a accomplishment and a feat. Kudos to us for being in business for 10 years. Like, that is a milestone. That's a major accomplishment. Like, I think about 9 years ago to this date right now, like, we were getting ready. We opened up in the beginning of March of 2016. We had just graduated school. We came here and we got rocking and rolling right away. And so I just remember, like, putting in that effort and attention, having no idea what was going to come. No idea that you guys would be joining us. No idea that we'd be moving to this beautiful space and serving the people that we serve. So, one, super grateful for it. And two, it's all of you guys that have come into the office over the years. And now it's like, this is why we do what we do. And so if you have the opportunity to come celebrate with us, we'd love to have you and celebrate.
It
our
would be a night
birthday
of
bash.
community, like celebrating and reflecting on like all the stories and, you know, the lives that have changed. And so if you are someone who's been impacted by Rev, like come and I want to hear the story, you know, and share with everyone else. And this is we're biased, but our community is really amazing. So
And people are asking for more of these events. Last event we had was at 50/50 Wine Bar, and people made friendships through that. And I
Yeah.
think if you're someone who's seeking community, it's such an easy way to make friends because you're coming to Rev and you have something to talk about versus
Yeah.
going to like a random singles event or random friend, you know what I mean? Where you're like, hi, I'm
Go mingle.
this is like so easy and everyone is so just quality and heart centered. So you're gonna leave feeling connected.
Like,
good.
hey, I saw you on the table last week.
I saw you drinking wine last week over at that party too.
This place.
And the location is to be determined. We're pretty sure we're going to go to a local wine bar as well, different than 50/50 this year. We just have to confirm with the owners. And if you're watching, you know who you are. And so we're going to be
Has
talking
to be
you
a really good
soon.
friend and client.
Yeah, we should. We will probably be there, but we'll share that location soon. All right, let's dive into what we want.
All of these events are on our website to register. So just so you guys know.
Well, now I got to, before this is edited, I got to add that part to it. So
Yeah.
it should be on our
That's your
website,
homework.
not very soon.
It will be on the website.
So as we were talking about this jam session, Lauren we talked about New Year's and thinking about learning lessons from last year and this year. So the theme would be essentially, Lauren shared, love it, where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So I do really think it's important as we're setting intention, setting our goals, and we all believe this, and you guys actually do a phenomenal job. I'm still learning this, and we all are, looking back on our life and taking the lessons that we learned through the last year, the last 5 years, the last decades, so that way we don't have to relive those things, because if we relive them, that we're essentially doing insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again
Solidify.
and expecting different results. So before we can move forward, sometimes it's nice to reflect on what we learned and what we grew from the year before. So I'm going to bounce it over to you guys. The year 2025. Lessons learned personally. Is there anything that you relearned that you feel people would gain benefit from learning about?
oh, like personally.
We're going personally
Okay.
first.
Well, yeah, and just to piggyback off of that too, like when we work with people and mostly in our reassessments that we have, that's basically the blueprint of every conversation is talking about like where you were when you first came in or where you were struggling. And then we catch up to where we're at now. And then we look ahead. And it's just such a good like mindset to have too, because when you're like in the thick of it, you forget all the growth that you've had. And there's a reason why we want to reflect, because when you look back and you do take that time, you're like, wow, like I remember when that was hard, or I remember when I struggled there and now I'm not there anymore. That win gives you like a lot of energy and a lot of hope and inspiration to keep playing that game basically. And so I have a theory on like the lessons that I learn have layers to them. Like you may think like, oh, when am I going to learn this lesson? It's like has layers to it, you know? So I think I'm trying to think the personal like aspect of that. But for me, I feel like this year was like just coming into more of myself and my strengths. I think the last couple years I had a lot of resistance to like stepping into who I am and just certain traits, I guess, like of like leading and being on it honestly and like showing up and stepping up. I was more reserved and I've been just saying yes to more things, and And that came with its own growing pains, I guess. And this past year was probably the first year in the last like stretch of few years where I was just that person. I was just more of who I am. And I got to just like settle into that and own who I am and find that peace with who I am. And I still had struggles, but the way that I navigated them were very differently. And that's what I've mostly been reflecting on of like, I don't know, it just felt nice to feel peace. And reflect on how I navigated them. And now I'm getting to this point. I was actually talking to a client about this of just kind of where I'm at, 'cause I asked if she had goals and stuff. And it's like meeting yourself where you're at and like, what do I want for this year? Sometimes it's a year of like achievement. And sometimes it's a year of just like enjoying my life. And I think last year was just enjoying it. And this year it's not, it's like the goals that I have, it's more about just like turning up the volume on who I am. I've had this whole year of like feeling the most me. And now I'm like in this constant place of like, oh, like what else is there? And leaning into that. So I have certain goals that I have for this year, but I have like 2 words that's like personal to me of like the theme of the year, and that's organize and optimize. Organization hits big for me because for the things that I want to accomplish, like just being efficient and not having to like feel chaos is going to help me get there. And I know I'm going to have a lot of lessons along the way. Like
Yeah.
I'm decently organized, but like not super organized.
You're very organized now, though.
But I'm getting there. But yeah, just like I'm ready to like turn up the volume on my life because I feel like I'm in a good place to do that. And again, not to say that like that wouldn't have worked for me 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, it was like, Lauren, take the time, create space. Like I needed to like really go within and learn a lot of things within myself. And like coming out of that, I'm like, all right, let's go. So that's like my one takeaway too for anyone listening. Whatever you do decide as you're reflecting, like just be real with where you're at and what are your needs now. And that'll be the most like impactful. And just know it's setting you up basically. But
In the middle of Lauren's optimizing and organizing literally our entire house, I saw a journal from her from like, I think it was in the middle of 2 years ago. And literally the goals you had wrote down, basically, I'm like, if we don't reflect, if we don't have intentions, we don't look back, like, how do you know yourself, basically? But we open
like,
up this-
don't read my journal.
Well, I have to know you
Get it
too,
wrong.
actually. I have to know you too. But
Reading my
I opened up this journal and I thought it was literally from this year. I was like, oh my God, you've already done all these things.
That was really cool. It's like,
And
oh,
we turned to the next page and it was like 2023
Wow.
that you set these goals that I was like, holy Toledo. That is such a good way to set goals of like if you don't put action with intention into things, you're just shooting at blind targets. But you did that. And now to look back at that, I'm like, I actually want to put more intention into my intentions.
yeah. And
Yeah.
sorry, just because you brought that up, it reminded me. But like, I remember when I was writing those words of like, oh man, this would be nice, you know?
Yeah.
But like, not in a far off distance kind of way, but just like, yeah, like this is like, it's like right there. But I just needed that like dialed in more, like focus on it. And like knowing that I was like worthy of feeling those things too. And just being that. And then whether I get the outcome or not, like, I don't care. You know, it's like got to feel the shifts from that. So
Is there an example you want to share of something that surprised you that was on that list that
I'd love to.
came to fruition?
I'd love to share her journal stuff. Yeah. February 23rd.
I think this is so interesting because if you were to ask any of us, like, how have you changed? How have you changed? We could each tell each other pretty clearly, like, what's the change. But for Lauren, I remember really specifically one thing was like, it said like foundational, like she wanted to be a foundational leader is what it said, something like that. And this is in like 2023, like I said. And I'm like, she has created such a foundation for literally everything we do in our lives, like a plan, a structure, and kind of like a game plan moving forward. But the leadership too, I feel like you've really taken on in a sense of like, you were like, I'll lead when someone asks me to. And now that there's such a foundation created, you already have your ducks in a row that someone's like, hey, I need a pen. You're like, or it's not always like that, but it's like, hey, I need emotional support. But it's almost like, I think your essence has really changed in that way where I remember back in the day, I felt like absolutely I was taking the first steps all the time. And now to walk like with you in that feels so good. And we're moving literally like 8 times as fast.
And it was just an energy thing. When I was looking into leadership, it wasn't like, you know, leadership in business. So it was just the idea of leadership was really interesting to me. And I've spent this last year learning a lot about it. And it is just like a state of mind, but a state of energy too, of just like leadership. Like the first thing you learn is like like real accountability, like complete 100% accountability no matter what's happening. And I don't know, it was really attractive. Like the energy of a leader is like, no matter what happens, like we're going to figure it out.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's cool.
And I think that's the coolest thing for our clients too, because they will tell us pretty big, audacious goals. And it's like almost like the same way you had that. You had the idea drop in, and then it wasn't like it happened right overnight, but every single day, like holding that vision, holding that target, and then taking steps towards it, that eventually you take another step and you're like, oh, have I been here the whole time? Sorry to.
And I think I know the answer. Do you feel like there was one singular moment that you did something different to that, like, no, I'm going to do this? Or was it more so, were you setting intentions to be more in that leadership role, just for people that are wanting to step into their more authentic self?
I think pain is a good motivator. And if you listen to the pain and you look at it as a teacher and you reflect on it and you're like, cool, what should I do with this now? Like pain inherently isn't bad, but it's there to show you something. So I think I had just years of, like I said earlier, like the resistance and pain, and having like a mindset that I feel was weak. And I was just like, I would rather feel more empowered in this world. And I just feel so like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and whoever's in front of me, I'm meant to serve. And for me to serve at like the greatest potential I can, it's like my responsibility to step up into that. So it's just like, yeah, it was definitely a moment, but it was a moment of like pain. Like, and again, my framework when there's pain or when there's suffering in my mind or whatever, it's like, what is this trying to teach me, show me, and like take the time to listen and do something differently about it. Not skip over it, not look at the pain, move on, suck it up, but like, okay, the pain's there. What can I do with it? Reflect on it and like listen. Yeah.
Love that. Erica, any lessons of 2025 you want to share?
Yeah, I do have some lessons.
We'd love to
Shall
hear them.
I've been reflecting. I actually got to take this back again to 2024. My word, I remember that year, and Lauren and I journal pretty sporadically, but we have a lot of journals. And my word
I don't
was
read yours, by the way.
well, I do read yours. In 2023, my word was play, and I played like crazy. Or sorry, 2024. I played so much every day, all the time, and yeah, it was achieved. I went above and beyond on the play. But
Nailed it.
yeah, I think we all did. But anyways, when the rhythm swings one way, it kind of has to swing another. And I remember looking at the end of that year and feeling extremely rushed with, maybe it was the holiday season like you were mentioning, Monica, but I felt really rushed in everything. Like I kept saying, like, I don't have enough time. Like I kept saying that because I would be playing for hours and hours on end and then trying to do my thing really quickly. Where last year my word was, it was ritual, but routine, like setting like something where I do every day and kind of having like play scheduled in, having a lot of stuff scheduled in. And as I was looking at my list, I was doing something that I tell all of you guys to do all the time, of look at the balance of your life. And everybody says this to me all the time, but I never really moved my body up until I'd say last year. You guys could probably agree.
We know.
Like I
didn't know how this was going to work out. I'm going to say, I didn't know when you started working.
Yeah, like I had moved, like infrequently at home, just kind of like picking up a weight here or there. But I had not really moved. And the second I actually started to look at my schedule, I was like, I actually have a ton of time. And whenever I started to look at a lot of my values, I was like, I meditate a lot. I do a lot of breath work. I do a lot of contemplation, like reflection, emotional stuff. Like I do a lot of that stuff, but I wasn't really in my physical body a lot. And I realized I have all this time. What do I want to do? So last year I was climbing and I was moving more than I probably ever have, which is really unique because the stuff I had been doing before, like breath work and meditating every day, cannot really be physically seen until you're basically in an argument with someone or having a really enlightened moment. And it's really interesting because with the physical body, it can be seen almost instantaneously if you stick with something. So I think that actually goes a lot with our practice too. Like 95% of my life was subconsciously being worked on. Like I was looking at myself, I was having a lot of deep reflection, but I wasn't moving a lot of my energy. I wasn't moving my body very often. And the second I got my like physical form involved, all of a sudden I can see that. And then I'm like, what has the last like 10 years of meditating done? What has like the last 10 years of like emotional regulation done? And I think those things cannot really be fully felt. But the second that I went into that really physical space, that made so much sense for me. So with that being said, my word coming up this year, or like my intention, I guess, for this year is it's complicated a little bit, but I'm looking at, this is kind of a reset year. And for anybody, because I know somebody's watching this saying, this is not New Year's. I mean, this is not the start of the new year. And yes, that typically is in the spring if people are on a different mindset. But for me, I'm really sitting with this being the very beginning. Again, if this were the beginning, I have all my ducks in a row and I'm going through each of my neural centers and kind of the energy with them as I go up. So it's going to be a 7-year process, but my word this year is ground. It's foundation, it's rhythm. And I don't know what to expect because whenever I said move, we were literally moving our house on the 23rd of that year. So I kind of meant like moving into a new space, moving into a new mindset. And then what emerged was a lot of movement with my body. So my word is ground and foundational stuff too, of just like, it's the beginning. Every day is, what do I need right now?
Love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
A long-winded way to say grounding. All right, Matt, Monica.
I honestly love that you said it's not New Year's. I actually love that. I love setting intentions like a couple weeks into it because the first couple weeks it's like it's easy to like it's January 1st, but 99 out of 100 people a couple weeks in that you guys have already stopped doing those things that you do. So this is not a nice reminder. You can start your new year any time that you want to. So giving that space from January 1st to now, like cool, thinking about contemplating like, okay, what do I want this year to be? I think it's still a beautiful timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember my word or anything from last year. Do you remember?
I actually don't. I don't either. I think 2 years was play as well, which I'll get into.
I think we did that. I think you guys also had play on your docket.
I feel like I change like every day. So it's really hard for me to like, I don't have a journal. Maybe I need a journal to look back and be like, what was going on in my psyche, in 2025 and stuff like that. I've grown tremendously and I'm so grateful. Maybe you guys can share what you've seen in me. That would be really
I think that's how we should flip this. Like,
I would love to hear
and
it.
I do
I'll
remember
share
your
a little bit
word.
about what I have reflected on since we had this conversation is I feel like the last 10 years actually has been me saying yes, stretching myself, growing tremendously to launch this business, also raising 2 very small children, having another business. And this last year, I've realized stretching myself so thin left me very depleted. And that's kind of like our cultural like go-to, like we got to keep going, we got to keep going. And I realized the depletion left me in a place that was less than myself, less authentic, less vital. And so my word going into this year is more nourishment. And that first stemmed from wanting to cook for my family more. And that's like seems like really simple, but it's so much deeper than that. I actually stopped cooking all the time when our second was born, our daughter was born, and I kind of got out of the habit of it. So anyways, I wanted to nourish our family more, nourish my nervous system more. But beyond that, it's like I want to be more present with my family. And that's the deepest nourishment that I can give my family and give myself is that presence and that connection. So that's definitely what's on the docket for me in this next year. And I have been doing that. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the meals have been fantastic.
Where's that Asian steak at, girl?
I'm actually making it this weekend. I'm coming over.
Just intense.
And playing with my kids more. Like that's what I meant, the presence and nourishment. Like we played Uno last night, 2 rounds. Saying yes, like we got out of the habit of doing that with our kids, I would say. Like you guys go play with each other. Like it's so nice to have 2 because they can go play. But when they ask you time and time again, can you do this with me? We stopped saying no and started saying yes more. And that has felt really nourishing.
Yeah, I
And
heard.
you started learning a new instrument.
Oh, yes. I'm also learning the guitar. I have the best guitar teacher ever. This lady right here. She's a rock star. And I'm very humbled. I'm very humbled by how interesting it is to learn something very new when your
You're
brain
doing
is
great.
so set.
Yeah.
Like I'm wanting to be more in my right brain, be more open, and it's happening. It's just I'm down for the journey.
I think you're already amazing, and I can't wait to see you.
Oh, we
do
didn't
your first
announce the
show.
concert date.
Oh, concert day. Yeah.
That
I
is
am having
coming
a
up.
spring recital, maybe a summer recital, maybe a winter recital, depending on
Maybe
how
at
fast
the-
I learn.
At the party, at the 10-year birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the
right there.
stage.
We might have a live performance by Monica.
Anything else?
No.
As I'm listening to all of us, there's people that are that come in to Rev that are on a journey for a while, and there's many people like looking at their stuff and trying to be better is like a newer thing, right? And there's no right or wrong, but pretty much everyone that's watching this video has embarked and started on a journey because you're wanting to better yourself. Hopefully that's what you're getting out of these jam sessions. So when I say that, there's layers, like Lauren said, and if I really think about one of the biggest lessons, and there's probably like hundreds, if not thousands of lessons we learn throughout every single year. For me, realizing that I have a tendency to want more and not be satisfied with what is or what I have. And so you can say greed or gluttony, and those are kind of like harsh words, but if you get down to it, like there's an energy and emotion that for years, a lower vibration within me that always wants more and never fully satisfied. The pain, greed, and gluttony. Monica said both of those words to me, and I just got so angry. I'm like, I'm the most caring
Turned
person.
green.
I am like, so I want to take care of everyone else. I am not. And then a breath or 700 breaths later, I'm like, well, maybe there's something to it. And so, 2024, maybe 2025 was the year of play. 24 was the year of play. I played a lot, ate whatever I wanted, drank whatever I wanted, had a good time, enjoyed myself, did the work still. But because of that, I felt like I was a little bit, that peak level of fitness where you're maybe like, don't love the number on the scale. Like I was bumping up against that. So I'm like, something's got to change. So I actually started fasting again many years ago. I used to fast once a week for an extended period of time. And just one day I was in our sauna and I was watching a video, and it was this guy, Andre Ducombe, who does the Know Thyself podcast. I don't remember the guy he had on, but it was an expert in fasting. And just, I had to listen to it for 10 minutes and all the biological effects that happens in the body when you give yourself just a little space from eating and what can happen. And I just started doing it and quickly lost a bunch of weight, quickly started feeling a whole lot better, more vibrant, more energy. And also a thing that I got from this is not a medical claim whatsoever. It got me excited to share a little bit more about fasting with people. Obviously, women are different and your hormones are different. But I truly believe that anyone with cancer, autoimmune diseases, arthritis, really serious diseases, I feel like can benefit tremendously from short, if not slightly longer extended fasts, because the body is so amazing. The body is so intelligent, and we're just typically just put too much crap into our body that giving it that little bit of space almost resets the entire system. And when we were in school, Dr. Goldberg was there. And so there's something called the Goldberg Tenor Clinic outside of Atlanta. I know there's tons of different places that do a lot of like extended fasts. So I just share that with you guys because I feel like we live in a world where we overconsume. And I'm speaking for me personally, and then in general, where sometimes less is more. And sometimes we think that we need extra food, but really it's just our brain playing a trick on us. So for me, continuing that journey this year of like, what do I need? What do I need to have right now? Like, how much food do you actually need? The body can go 40 days without food, without any biological repercussions. So it's like, you're hungry, but are you really hungry? And that's the thing for me, like really sitting back. And I think, that translates to all sorts of other things as well. So just giving yourself space. So that's a big one for me. And then
I want to touch on that real quick,
yeah, please.
about the fasting. I had one of my good friends, she asked me about fasting the other day. And there was a period I went through, I don't know, 5 years ago when we would fast a lot together. And I'm in a totally different place now and doing all the research with, women and hormones and things like that. And I think if someone is interested in fasting, I would just do a different type of fast than what he's talking about. Do your own research, of course, and tune in on what feels best for you. But even fasting from sugar, fasting from alcohol, fasting from processed dairy or whatever, fasting from something you're having often is an amazing fast for you. Even stopping, like a lot of people eat late at night. That's one of the worst things for our body. There's so much research on that. Fasting from food at night and actually breakfast is breaking the fast in the morning. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can still fast and give yourself that freedom to actually cleanse and offload, but it doesn't have to also look like maybe how it's traditionally said.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think women need to do their research into how to make it work for them and not to mess with their hormones. And they can feel into it too, right? Like they can feel like this probably isn't the greatest thing for me, but also just finding what works for you. And the other piece that I said, I'm glad you said something. Yes, it's the physical part of it, but anyone who is fasted and then meditated, the mind is just so much more clear when you don't have a bunch of junk. And like whether, or if you had a bunch of alcohol and you try to meditate, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on. But if you're like a clean vessel, it's just easier to drop into that really relaxed state. So I think it's one of those things where, yes, there's physical components, but also there's emotional, mental, spiritual as well.
And if you're listening and you've been listening to the last like 5 minutes of this conversation and you had a thought of like, oh, I should really stop that one thing, I'm going to invite you to listen to that.
That's the thing.
Just want to call you out lovingly.
Lovingly do it.
I want to touch on real quick something you said also about you said about like maybe fasting and how it's like uncomfortable or something. You said something like that. And so this is the work that we do at Rev, is like really helping people connect to their self and the intelligence within, so that when you are doing something new, like let's say fasting in some sort of way, anything, working out in some sort of way, there's going to be a moment where you have resistance to it. And this is where the work of tuning into yourself pays off, because maybe it's a resistance of this isn't right. But maybe it's a resistance of just this old self creeping up, being like, we don't do this. We want to stay in our comfort zone. So there's always going to be a split. And I think it's so convenient to be like, oh, it's not for me. But often it is, or sometimes it's really not. So this is where I think people get really confused and they ask me like, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? I'm like, I actually don't know the answer for you. The answer resides within you. With like 100% clarity. We just have to clear all the fog and clear all the clouds and stuff like that, because then you can connect to it. So I think that's the most important part about people coming to Rev and just tuning into their nervous system, is that yes and no becomes so crystal clear, and you're tapping into the doctor within yourself. You kind of alluded to that too. That's the goal. That's the goal of all of this, of what we do.
And it's a practice. I was actually sitting with someone recently. She's had been on undercare for just like 4 weeks. And the way that we kind of were talking about it, it's like the thought patterns that she had before was just like kind of running the show. And now there's a little bit of space like in between of just like, you have a reflection, a thought before choosing, or like you just have space in between these thoughts. And we're talking about that too, of just like that's really the goal and the key when you start this like healing journey, is not like outside things fixing you, but listening to your body really, really well. And she's like, yeah, I want to increase my intuition, but like, I don't know how. And with anything, like you gain confidence by repetition. So I'm like, just try it, like see what happens. And I really believe in this thing, you call intuition, but I kind of like the word like truthometer. Like we have that thing within us. And Matt actually had great examples. I have a rule for myself, at least. If someone says something to me and I either have this like, oh my God, truth, right? You know that feeling someone says something like, you're like, yes, that's it. And if someone says something, I'm like, nuh-uh. Like both of those things.
Nuh-uh.
Same.
You should look at, like that's like a little way that you can kind of play with practicing your intuition or listening to your truthometer. If someone is talking about something that I have no interest in, I'm not going to be thinking about that later. But if I'm thinking about that later, or I'm thinking about how that word like stuck to me, or I felt like inspired, like if you have like a response, basically,
Or that person bothered you.
Yeah,
And you're still
like-
thinking about it.
I would look at that. There's something there for you. And that's the practice of like increasing your intuition. Again, it's easier when you feel clearer within your body. That combined with like reps, like just practice it, try it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Every skill, and that's essentially a skill, connecting to self, you get better over time. And we think that we just need to figure it out right away. And that's like the biggest, like for people in the first couple weeks when they're going through this process, they're like getting frustrated with themselves that they're not like at their desired goal. I was talking to one of the real estate people, like she was going through this process and like, she's like, I'm feeling stuff, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. And I'm like, imagine someone started real estate and then within 1 month they said, oh, I haven't sold a single house. Like, what would you say to them? I'm like, of course not. Of course not. Right. It's going to take time for you to be able to get to that state and feel, but continuing to do it. So yeah, lovely. Erica, did you?
Yeah, I do have one other thing to say about this. With intuition and like commitment really is what it feels like. Like fasting's a really good example of what I'm saying, where I think the discernment actually comes in when people say, I'm going to be fasting. Like I know Matt, he's playing with it. He's putting the hat on. He's feeling into it. He's practicing it. And if that went crazy haywire for you, you would pivot. Like I know that.
Totally.
Where I think that for a lot of people, they say, I'm going to set this goal and then I have to do this. And they forget to check in with themselves of the why. Because I think that if we set those goals just to do things for a temporary period of time, knowing everything's temporary, allows us to put that hat on, put that hat off, and then kind of pivot from there. Like when you were saying that about fasting and the Goldberg Clinic, I think about people who go from a pretty unhealthy diet and then they're like, is it good to go vegetarian? Is it good to go carnivore? Is it good to go blah, blah, blah? And they'll radically commit to one of those and they'll get basically the same results going vegetarian or going carnivore. And it's because the whole system kind of needs a reset. If they were to continue going carnivore or vegetarian after that reset period, is it still serving? Maybe. I have no idea. You know that for yourself. But I think the whole point of what we're saying is to check in with that truthometer, like Lauren said. Yeah. But putting the hat on and taking it off.
I love that. Well, I had 5 or 6 things I wanted to go through. That was one, and that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
I will just
not make it.
We have a lot to say.
We technically
why we're doing
did
this.
1, 3, and 4 kind of all together. So we
Yeah.
all, we're
like
going to move through it. But no, that was perfect. And we shared our personal stories. We get to, we talked about the several thousands of people that we've worked with. Last year, several hundred people came through these doors. We never share people's names and specific details, but I think people learn through stories. And so we had chatted about it, like anybody that has stuck out over this last year and their journey and their change, we want to share a couple of stories. Again, no names, no extra details, because we just think that when people hear what someone else that hasn't been on their healing journey, because a lot of people will see us, like, of course they can because they're doctors, they've learned all this stuff, they can make these shifts, but I don't know, right? We have regular people that don't have any background in this, going through this and seeing transformations. So any stories?
Hold on. Before you share, the reason we're also doing this is because we want you guys to attune your frequency to possibilities and healing. We are so inundated with what's wrong, what's going on with people, who's sick, who's this. And so it's really about where we're turning our heads and paying attention to as far as what's going to lead us towards where we want to go or away from where we want to go. So we just want to turn your heads towards possibilities because this is what we see every single day here. And we want to share some.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well said, ma'am.
We used to talk with a ton of people, like Matt said, 3,000 people. Like we hear all these things.
It's normal.
It's normal. Yeah. Does
Go
anyone
ahead.
want to start?
I'm so excited to share.
Sorry,
So,
you go then.
first of all, it's hard to pick one, but I have one that stands out. Anytime someone has pain relief, I love it. It's great. When people feel like their life is brand new and they feel the most like they've felt like themselves in their whole life, that I could cry. Like I'm getting already emotional, but that's the person that really stood out to me. This woman came in, oh gosh, and had gone through a lot of trauma and was like not that young, but the trauma was when she was young, but she never really had the space to like look at it, but she knew she needed to do something about it. And so she heard about us and she came in. And first of all, I'm like, before I like almost every person that comes in, and if you're a future person that's going to come in, like I'm so proud of the person that walks through the door because you've already made the first step. Because like, I don't know, I think that's really brave and not everyone wants to look at their stuff and do something about it. And she just like came in with that. And so many people that we serve, pretty much everyone that we serve is like that. And I think that's really amazing. But anyway, and it was a whole year of just kind of working through these like patterns and things that have come up. And again, like that example of like, it was who she was, like the patterns and the thought process. And now she has this space. And with that space, she's changed her life and changed her patterns and changed the way that she moves in this world. And this past year wasn't necessarily like amazing. It was really difficult at times. But she kept showing up. And then I just saw her like a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, like, how's the year treating you so far? And she was just like beaming, like so like the brightest smile I've seen so far of her. And she's like, I just like feel so good. Like my life feels so good. This is the best I've ever felt. And I was like, oh, like what exactly? She's like, I didn't realize like how hard my life was, And she had this like space of like, oh my gosh, like I was drowning, and didn't even know it. And now she's out of the water and like looking back like, wow, like what a huge jump. And again, I'm being general, but I like that example because like that is the work that we do. It is like this process of becoming and who you are. It's like, and it's different. It's not like this like really dramatic, oh my gosh. And some people have those experiences in here where they feel like really, really dramatic shifts really fast. But really, a lot of the times it's this person that I'm using this example of, like knowing and committing to it, this being a process, knowing that from here to here, the things that I'm doing in my life are going to determine who I am when I get here. And she was so intentional. And again, it's easier to be intentional with the moves that you make when you feel good in your body. And like, this is like, process was so big for that, where she was committing to regulating, to processing old patterns, and then also showing up in her life. And she got to see just like the biggest transformation of her entire life. Like, so it was just freaking beautiful.
I'm trying to figure out in my head who it was, but there's like 10 people that are coming up that I know you talked to that.
Which is the coolest thing.
And I am curious with this person, because there's a reason why. Did she come in like wanting what you said, or did she come in for pain, something else and then this opened up to her?
She just knew she needed help. And when you're like that feeling of being in it, you know, like you don't know what's up and down, you're just trying to survive, which is a lot of people that we serve. We actually, in that conversation, we don't talk about, cool, what's your dream life? Like, that's not the next move. Like her next move was just to like, just breathe a little bit, you know? So it was this moment of like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I need to be here. And I think, again, like just she wanted to show up to like, she knew she needed to change. And what better way to change than to change your nervous system, you know?
So beautiful.
Yeah.
I have two.
I have so many.
Get one.
I know it's hard to,
You could do it.
or like bullet point the.
No,
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, I'll say one, and then if there's space at the end for another
She
one.
got
And then I'll share mine at the
Okay.
space at the end.
This one, again, we see miracles every single day when someone's migraines go away, or they're finally sleeping soundly, or they're present with their kids and they can run around with their grandkids. All of these are like, we're the biggest cheerleader and we're so excited, and they're also normal and our birthright. But this one stood out to me a lot because this person has been integrating for years at Rev. And this is what kind of is the path of being at Rev at first. Like Lauren was kind of saying, people come in, sometimes they're drowning and they're just like, you know, like pulling strings to try and get to the next thing in their life. And at first we just need to like, just rest, just process your life, just give it space. And then from there, that's when you can begin, you know, creating an aligned life around that foundation of a solid nervous system that's functioning, rocking and rolling. So this woman is a perfect example of that, where she had been processing, integrating for, you know, a few years at this point. And then last year, during a really amazing immersion that we hosted, she came and it was kind of this like moment where all the work that she had done to create that solid foundation of a nervous system had played into her favor, because then she knew in that moment one thing that she really needed to stop, which was actually drinking. And so she was like, I know I need to stop doing that. It's just this thing that keeps calling to me. I know I need to take a big break from that. And so she, from that moment, decided that's what she needed to do. She took the aligned action, stopped drinking. She, from there, lost like 35 to 40 pounds, looked like a completely different human, unrecognizable actually, because of how beaming she was from, not that she wasn't amazing before, just more herself. And I just love that she tuned into what her soul basically was telling her that she needed to do to be a better version of herself. And she decided to commit to that while still processing her life, getting the things out of the way that's hindering that version of herself. But that was just such a beautiful transformation that I think we all witnessed. And it's not just the drinking. I think it was just other choices from that. But that was the big moment where she put her hand up and was like, I'm going to do this.
I was just going to say the pure action of not drinking anymore, if done in a place of like a New Year's resolution, I'm not going to drink, I guarantee would not have the same potency of power as tuning in, listening to something that's guiding you to do. I'm sure that was the huge part of everything else, because it wasn't the act. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm listening and tuning into what I need.
And I want to clarify that the immersion didn't talk about drinking at all.
Not
We were
once.
just talking about
I think we were
Creating-
drinking now.
creating your ideal life, and she knew that was hindering her from doing that. So
For me, in that moment with that client, like she's been here for a while, and it was like kind of one of those like aha moments, but it was like who she was and who she wanted to be started to no longer be in alignment, maybe for a while, but she started to see more of the vision of who she wanted to be than the person who she had always been. And I'm like, that's what the nervous system is. It's like this slow building. And then one day it comes to like sometimes a really crazy pivotal moment, sometimes really gradual shifts, but it's a simple choosing. And like just like the slightest pivot, and her doing that wasn't out of, no, I got to stop drinking. I want to lose all this weight. I want to blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm choosing myself. And I think that is the biggest change that we ever see for anybody.
Mhm. I know I can feel into someone watching this right now, and you're hearing this, and you know there's something that you need to do. And I'm piggybacking off what Lauren said earlier. Like, that's one of the most powerful things that you can do, is make the decision and choice. Like, I know I'm supposed to do this, and I'm going to invite you guys, just like Lauren did, take a step towards that goal today, because it can truly be as transformational as this.
and if you know who you are, if this is
you.
you right now,
Get back in the
Yeah.
don't turn on.
Pause.
Put a comment below. You don't have to say what you're doing, but put a comment below saying something about it, like I'm doing it. We can have a phrase.
Yeah.
I'm
fine.
choosing myself. Let's say that I'm choosing
Yeah.
myself, because that's actually energetically taking the step forward from beyond just the thought. So I'll say that action with that, and then writing it down is really important.
All right, Erica, what you got?
Yeah, I had a whole different one, and this just happened last night that it's just on the top of my heart and the top of my mind to share this one instead. So I'm going to pivot, completely new story. We have a client that's been here for 2 years. I just did her 2-year free assessment last night. 2 days ago. And she came in, and when she first came in, she was just having a lot of pain, and she had pretty accelerated MS in that time too, where MS, multiple sclerosis, is essentially like scarring or adhesions on your spine, on your nervous system. So that's why she came in. It started to get to the point where she couldn't really turn her head, turn her neck, and she was starting to feel that kind of in her low back. So they told her that it was progressing really fast, basically. And she sat down and she's like, will my MS go away? Basically is what she asked me. And I'm like, we don't promise any miracles. And what I can promise you is that your body will start changing. And what happens from there is all within you. And she's like, yeah. Okay, my neck pain better go away and this better stop. And we start having these conversations, and the neck pain goes away. Unbelievable for her. They tell her that the MS kind of slowed down a little bit, so much so that they said, I think we should wait about 2 years for you to really move through this process. And at the end of that, we'll do another scan and we'll see where you're at. She just got this scan back yesterday, and nothing has grown even at all. So much so that they're pretty sure she has one less lesion on her spine, which is all incredible and great for me. But when we first sat down and started talking, I was like, beyond the MS, what would it feel like for you and your body if every time your neck pain didn't start hurting, you didn't go to worst case scenario? What would be best case scenario? Because she kind of needed like a mantra or like a mindset in the middle of this, because her body was changing so much. But every time neck pain came up, anytime back pain came up, she started to say, and this is what we talked about, but this is what she started to say is, my body's reorganizing. My body's healing there. My body's moving through it there. Like, so when she would have neck pain, instead of going from worst case scenario, must be MS, must be getting bad, must be blah, blah, blah. Every time this started happening, she started talking to her body and just saying, this is my body sending blood flow. And she doesn't know the anatomy. She doesn't know the spine, but I'm like, just even feeling into your neck, like, this is my neck moving again. This is my neck breathing again. So she would lay on the table, and that's where she would probably have like kind of the biggest pain, I guess I would say, in the neck and in the spine, is when she was laying on the table. And she was like, right there, that makes a lot of sense for me. Why on the table? When my body's actually relaxed, actually letting go, blood flow, like you say, nerve flow, like you say, is doing what it's supposed to. And I asked her 2 years ago, what would you be doing if this wasn't the case? And she was like, I would be feeling confident enough to try to have a baby. And I could cry now too. 2 days ago, she was like, so we are going to be trying to have a baby, and I'm already prepared for it. I've already lived into that vision. I've already felt into this. My body is perfectly healing, and my body is perfect where it's at. So for me, this person just took their life from going down a road of, well, she was on the cusp of, should I get a bunch of surgeries? Should I go down this whole procedure route thing? Comes into our door as like a last, maybe you could help. And all of a sudden, it's not that this all went away radically overnight, but every day, every moment started shifting, started changing. And for me, she started to actually believe her body could heal. So the next time something comes up for this woman, she's not going to worst case scenario anymore. When she has this baby, when she does all this stuff, she's actually feeling into like, this is for me. This is meant for me. And for her, her biggest revelation, as I'm asking, I'm like, what has this been for you? Like, what's been your biggest takeaway? And she said that what she feels is confidence. Like she feels her body. She didn't believe that before. She didn't really believe she could heal. She didn't believe that she could even have a baby, that she could be calm. She could do regular day-to-day tasks. And I'm like, what else has changed in your life? And like so many things. But for me, I'm like that shift of just trusting and looking within. She's like, no matter what happens, me and my husband get in a fight. I have a tough day at the office. I ask myself, like, how is this aligning for me? Like, why is this happening for me? And I think happening for her, then happening to her changes like our entire frequency. And if the frequency of the body is healing, growth, regeneration, it's really hard to match a frequency that's that high vibrational with a really low vibrational feeling of shame, guilt, can't, won't, overwhelm. And that's how big of a jump this woman made. So for me, yeah, MS slowed down. MS isn't showing up on scans as much anymore. And she feels good in her body. She's making steps forward in her life. Her life was on pause. And she said it would have been on pause for 2 years if nothing was changing. So for me, that's my takeaway of this year. And this happened like 2 days ago. So yeah.
You know, the scans and the sclerosis on the imaging, it's like a objective measurement that someone can see and their health isn't there. You know, we had a similar story. Someone I worked with 7 years ago, maybe a long time ago, same thing, had 7 lesions on the spinal cord, MS. They did the same thing, like, hey, we're going to see you in 6 months, a year from now. Started coming to us, started working on herself, started getting nervous system work, went back, and 6 out of the 7 were completely gone, and she only had one left. And they were like, we don't know what happened. And like, people listen to this, you might not have MS, but it's just an expression within the body that can be objectively measured. But sclerosis, what is it? It's a hardening of the spine, hardening of the nervous system. And so that energy, that vibration of stress, anger, anxiety, not trusting, it's like this hardening and the clenching, right? And when people jump on these tables, what do? They feel safe, and then they have a little bit of hope. That energy vibration starts shifting, and their whole system starts to soften. When we do breath works, I say a lot, breathe in, soften on the way out, because we live in such a world of fight or flight. Like, so many people are hardened, so many people are tense, and like sometimes just softening a little bit, softening conversations, softening different things, that can lead to massive healings. And we're seeing now with MS, which is a disease that a typical medical model doesn't know what to do with. So it's really amazing that's an amazing story. It's emotional. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I could cry.
You can.
Do you have one to share?
I do have one to share, and I'll kind of move through it quickly, but not too quickly. A woman came in a little bit over a year ago, younger woman, probably late 20s, and she had so much anxiety to the sense of, we're talking, and within 90 seconds in the room, she like literally has a panic attack, just sharing. She didn't even share anything really yet. Stood up and was about to leave. And like something within her that said, I'm like, hey, if you don't feel safe, and you need to step out. And she was shaking, and she's like, no, it's okay. It was the least words either her or myself said in an initial consultation that I've ever had in my entire life, because I'm like, this is what we're going to do. This is how your nervous system works. And we're going to go jump on the table, and we're going to hopefully calm your system down. So take that image and that picture. 3 months later, she started feeling a whole lot better. She shared with me something like one of her dreams was to to be a model and to do a runway walk and do do that whole, dress up and you're in like a show and everything like that. And I remember her just briefly saying that to me. I'm like, that's awesome. And I noted that. And then, she continued the process, continued care. And then probably 7-8 months in, she gets her session. She's booking up at the front with Roseanne, and she's showing her phone to her. And I walk up there and I see it's her on the runway doing a show, doing her modeling thing that she wanted to do, where 9 months ago was in a dark cave, couldn't do anything. And so like that's living your dreams, right? Like people want to feel better, people want to get out of pain, people want to get anxiety, but like, we've been talking about recently, the nervous system holds all your patterns, holds all your pain, holds all your wounds and your traumas. And that's what's really popular these days. And that's why nervous system work is getting more attention. But in the day, that's only focusing on one half. That's only focusing on kind of like the negative aspect of it. And people can get caught in that loop. It's not really negative because there's growth in it. And that's what, our message is like, there's also so much potential. There's so much potential when you start healing from those wounds that you can actually step into something greater, but step into like your passions, step into things that cause excitement in your life. So that was just like, I'll never forget, because I've never had anyone almost leave in an initial because she couldn't even sit there to be able to do something so brave to do a runway walk. Like, yeah, like if I was a male model, that'd be very intimidating to have to like walk in front of people. So just in a short period of time, what happened to her, that was really, really beautiful.
I love that.
Monica, did you want to share that last one? Can you share? No, you're good.
Oh, no. We're
Okay,
good. It's perfect.
For another time.
Time.
Well, the last two things is the Rev journey we want to talk about. We kind of already talked about it. I'm going to just give it to you, Monica, and then everyone else, because because we wanted to talk about how when people get out of fight or flight, what's next for them. We kind of already alluded to that. But that's the whole thing. Like people will come in and get out of pain, and then they ask, what's next? Well, what's next is continuing to deepen that connection and tune in. And man, like take the chances, go for it, do things out of your comfort zone, because now that you're out of that low bandwidth, now you're actually in a capacity to handle more. So I know that's what you want to talk about. And as we were talking, I'm like, well, we pretty much answered all of that stuff. Anything else that you guys have to jam about with that?
No. Yeah. I think just to touch on that too,
Please,
like I think a lot of people are either on one side of the spectrum when they think about healing, they're either stuck in like that negativity and just think like that's just it. And I hope again these stories that we share really plant the seed of hope, and knowing that if one thing I know for certain, our bodies, just because whatever you're experiencing right now can change. Like it can change. It's so simple. And when you're in it, it's easy to find all the evidence as to why it won't. But like we've just seen it. It's just the body is ready and willing and wanting to change. It's just, again, what are you doing from point A to point B to get yourself there? And so again, I hope this plants a seed of hope and inspiration hearing that. But again, that spectrum of like stuck in the negativity, stuck in the pain, this is how my life's going to be. And then this like bump is like toxic positivity, I guess, if you will, of like, oh, everything's good and fine. And it's like, there is this middle ground, and that middle ground is, I think, a more challenging course to take. And it does require your efforts and your commitment and your intentions behind it. But again, all that is so possible. It's just finding the right people, the right environment, the right community, deepening your sense of who you are. But like, it's just so possible. But again, we're going to keep diving into more of this kind of content, but just planting that seed.
We need like a 3-hour video here.
I know, that's why I paused for a second. It's like running out of time.
Yeah, no. I'm going to end with this. Yeah. And like our intention this year is to do one, like last year we did like one a week for like 40 weeks. And that was just a lot for us. And it wasn't of ease anymore. But we love doing these conversations. So our commitment is once a month minimum. We're going to be doing these jam sessions. So we'll be getting in more stuff. The last thing I was going to do was we have a question box here at Rev. And so people leave questions. And we hadn't looked at it in a while. And there was like 10 papers in there. Some of them were stuff, whatever. Some of them were actually really good. So I think maybe next one we'll do like questions out of the box.
Like that.
if you have any questions, please, if you're a Rev client, please write it in for the next one. Please put in the comments if you have any questions of stuff that we want to go over. But I'm just going to do these two. It'll be really quick. One question was, when are you doing jam sessions again? Because I really want to see them. Now you're here. That's it. That was easy.
Yeah.
The other one was, have you ever, I don't have the paper with me, but I'm remembering. Have you ever had a bug on someone while you were adjusting them? And if you did, or if you ever saw, what would you do?
Wait, that's like such a real moment.
That was a real yeah.
No, that's actually happened.
That's happened to me.
Do you flick it off?
I go like this, not with the touch, but just like with the wave and like the energy. And then if there's one bug that is like persistent, I'm like, you're just meant to have this experience.
One shift, Lauren and I had a bumblebee in here, and we had to, she tried to put a piece of paper on it and kind of cover it up. I then didn't work, and it was still going around, so I gently let it out the window. So
we've done a lot of bug transfers.
Yeah.
When you get, no one has any idea.
We try to keep it a sacred
You have to be
space.
really quiet doing it. Obviously, we're not going to kill anything in this sacred space.
and
So we
it's a
have to
jungle, so we have
yeah. But
bugs.
what I've done some ninja-like things, like under a table, scooping it up, and I think no one has noticed.
Let us know in the comments.
let us know if you
That's a
have.
real
I
question.
did not know the rule that we weren't supposed to kill any bugs in here. I may have killed a couple of bugs.
It's all right. We've saved enough that it should balance.
Yeah. Like, I just want to be honest.
None for 2026.
The craziest thing was that little lizard that was in here. It came out of a plant.
Yeah.
The baby lizard that came in out of a plant. It like crawled right out, and we were like, and our space, if you haven't been here, is so silent. My shock actually like echoed like seeing it. I was like, no way is that a lizard crawling out of that. But yes, things like that have happened.
Yeah, but I'll try and shoo it off.
I do remember actually one time doing it. I tried to make it feel like a contact. Did this and I flicked it off, and it didn't really work that well.
We're on our
So
pest
real.
control.
Awesome, guys. Well,
Hold on. Before we close up, I also wanted to say that a lot of our clients send these videos to family members that don't live in Chattanooga. Yes, we are based out of Chattanooga. However, if you feel called to come to Rev, a lot of people travel to us and do basically a month's care in about a week's time. That's what I love about our process, is we can compress the time of processing, healing, and integrating on the tables here. So just want to say we are available to anyone who's not just in Chattanooga, and we would love to support you and serve you.
and I think many years ago, I didn't believe that would have the impact that I've seen that it actually does. People will come here for a week's time and get care, and they will go through many hours of a coherent state, and they come back several months later like, yeah, I still feel those effects and changes from it, because the nervous system remembers and they reset their system. So yeah, boy, I'm glad you said that. Anything else, guys?
Until next time.
Well, guys, that was a lovely jam session. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back with my family. Hopefully you guys all found value in this video. And as Monica said, please share with a friend, please like, please subscribe. And until next time, have a wonderful day.